Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good evening. The board has returned from executive session, and there were no actions taken. May I have a motion to open the business meeting? May I have a first? Lisa. May I have a second? Bruce. All in favor? Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have to look at my notes, Joe.
Okay, it's all right.
All right. Great. Hi, everyone. So I have a very brief president's report. We actually had our board retreat. Was it just last week?
Last week.
Just last
Monday.
week, last Monday night, which was wonderful. We were very generously hosted by the Cold Spring Harbor Labs. So big thank you to them, to community member Karen Orzel, who helped organize that for us. We were able to talk about upcoming potential legal matters from New York State. We were able to talk about board goals and spend some time together, which is also very important as a board. So that was great. And then the following night, a bunch of us decided we hadn't had enough of each other. So we attended the Scope dinner to recognize our new superintendent. And I'd like to say, since Lisa Smith was there, we had the loudest cheering squad. That's right. We brought our cheerleader. And Cold Spring Harbor, small but mighty, we were the loudest ones in the room. So it was great. And it was really wonderful to be there and celebrate Joe. And I know we had some people traveling, but everyone who was around attended. So there were 4 of us there, and it was a great night. Just looking at my cheat sheet here. And that's really it for my update. We're going to continue to work on those board goals. They obviously work in concert with the district goals, and we're looking into earlier in September to reconvene as a board to take another look at those. I will hand it over now to the superintendent for his more detailed report.
Thank you very much. I also want to thank Lisa for getting to the Scope dinner early to save a table for us. She actually got there before the tables were set up.
3:45.
3:45
For dinner.
Fine.
Right, she made her own reserve signs, so we had a spot. They were looking at her like, who are you and where did you come from? But we knew and I warned them that you were coming. It was very nice. So, thank you.
And
Oh, please.
tell them who we sat with.
Oh, and you bumped into Bill Bernhardt, who was our interim assistant superintendent for business. I think just haphazardly you bumped into him.
We were just talking to him, yeah.
And then he sat at our table. And those of you know Bill, he still looks exactly the same as he did when he retired more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yes, that was great to see Bill. So good evening and welcome to the August 20th meeting of the Board of Education of Cold Spring Harbor. First, I'd like to thank everyone for attending the meeting tonight. Summer is a hectic time in schools across the island, nation, and state. It is a time to hire new staff, and we've been doing a lot of that, thank you, Dr. Brody, and start and hopefully end construction projects. Update computer networks and plan for the coming school year are being worked on. The building principals and administrators have been diligently completing student schedules, with students grades 8 through 12 have the schedule and teachers, names, periods, classes released yesterday. Tomorrow is the add drop day for students at the junior senior high school and the high school library. Students grades K through 6 had their teacher assignments released today at noon. Students in grade 7 will receive their schedules at the orientation barbecue, which would take place on Monday, which is a wonderful day, August 26th, at the junior senior high school. Students also in grades 7 and 10 will receive their new Chromebooks at the barbecue orientation, with 4th graders receiving their new Chromebooks during the first week of school. One of the first signs of school is about to start is football practice, which started yesterday, which is great to see all the teams on the field. Goose Hill, Lloyd Harbor, and Westside schools held their new 2 district orientations for students and parents this morning, with the district orientation for 7 through 12 being held at the barbecue on Monday 26th. It was so nice. Jen, Candace, and I, we went to these meetings today to see all the new families. They're so excited to be here, especially the younger students, to meet their teachers in buildings. At the orientations that have taken place this year, I just said that, I'll move on. I'd like to thank the elementary principals, district administration for organizing the building schedules. We have so many shared staff between the three buildings, actually four if you include the junior, senior high school, that it is a challenging puzzle to solve each year. They've been working very hard and have done a great job. Next week, August 27th, is one of my favorite days of the year. It is the open house at Goose Hill for kindergartners. This is the first day of our newest and youngest family members to come to kindergarten to see their classrooms, tour the building, and meet their teachers. It is one of the most amazing days of the year. I love it. The students are so happy to come in, so are the parents, and the staff is excellent, uplifting, and so welcoming to our newest family members. Then August 28th and 29th, we'll be holding our superintendent's conference days. We're packed with activities. All staff will be welcomed by Ms. Willihan, who will be there. I think Heather will be there too. Any other board members, if you want to be there to be at the beginning of the superintendent's conference days, you're more than welcome. It is a wonderful day. We have secured a keynote speaker, Myron Dweck, who will speak to our staff on the topic of artificial intelligence. We have staff training on the integrated co-teach program, technology, and more. Staff will also work on classroom setups, decorate the hallways, and set up bulletin boards. We'll be holding department meetings, reviewing student needs, and so much more. Yesterday, the staff received my welcome letter, which to them is the unofficial start that summer is winding down and the school year is starting. When I was a teacher many years ago, receiving the letter from the superintendent energized me and excited me for what was about to come in the coming year. I hope it did the same for them. I want to thank Mr. Clements and Dr. Fulton for their summer work on technology, maintenance, buildings and grounds, apartments conducted over the summer. Here are some of the highlights. At the junior, senior high school, we have new carpeting installed at the PAC with new digital microphones, updated sound system, and new lighting. The upgrades will make our student events even more impressive than they had been in the past. The Westside students will return to refurbished student cafeteria that looks amazing and is more efficiently organized. Lloyd Harbor School has its little theater being refurbished. We're hanging the sheetrock today on the ceiling. The student cafeteria is being done over with work from the PTG. It looks really amazing. It's beautiful colors there. Air conditioning is being installed across the district. Christine will talk a little about later on some of the work we have going on. I also like to provide two updates at this point in the meeting. The first is the traffic light at the exit of Cold Spring Harbor Junior Senior High School on Lawrence Hill Road. Plans have been submitted to Huntington, and we're waiting for their final review to come back, which is expected sometime this week. We're pressing them to have it for tonight's meeting, but I think as of about 4:30 or 5, they just weren't back yet. So there'll definitely be an update at the next meeting. I'm also excited to give an update on the Remembrance Bowl, which would take place on September 27th at the junior, senior high school. The Remembrance Bowl is an educational and commemorative event. It revives the World War II era football game canceled due to the Battle of the Bulge. It integrates a curriculum focused on American history, patriotism, and the sacrifices of our soldiers. The event includes classroom lessons, guest speakers, and a football game symbolizing the game that the soldiers never played. Ms. Lagatuda, along with Mr. Dambusky, Ms. Geiser, the building principals, and staff are mapping out the lessons for our students leading up to the Remembrance Bowl. Here are some important dates related to that event. On Wednesday, September 25th at 7 p.m., we will be holding a Remembrance Bowl cocktail kickoff party where community members are invited to purchase tickets for a special reception by our honored hometown heroes and veterans. That's okay. We have that's okay.
Jack's just excited about
He's so
the
excited.
party.
Thank you. The
Gotta
event
get
would
in his calendar.
the event would take place at the American Legion in Huntington, Post 36 and Mill Dam Road. Tickets can be purchased at the Sports Booster website, where you can also find merchandise to purchase.
Like hats.
Like hats that Lisa is wearing right now. On Thursday, September 26th, the football and cheerleading teams from Cold Spring Harbor and Island Trees, who will be playing on that game, will participate in a jersey signing event where students will speak with members of Patton Legacy Sports regarding the importance of sacrifice of the men and women who made D-Day and view the documentary The June 6th. The film is a story of why we remember and what we lose if we forget what happened to liberate Europe and end World War II. On Friday, September 27th, is the homecoming football game and Remembrance Bowl. Pre-game fun and festivities start at 4:30 with Twinkle Town, ice cream, concession food, face painting, and more. We're working on securing historical military vehicles to be on display and many, many other surprises. The Remembrance ceremony to honor our heroes will start at 7 p.m. and then homecoming kickoff will be at 7:30. I ask that everyone who can attend this event. I want to take a moment to thank so many people who are integral in planning the Remembrance Bowl. Kate Delacarpini and Alex Willingham for all the work organizing, raising money, along with Lisa, as you can see, who is working on our merchandise, talking with community members and making sure the event goes off without a hitch. The administrators, Ms. Lagatuda, Mr. Bongino, Dr. Brody, Mr. Clements, Mr. Taylor, Ms. Geiser, Dr. Fulton, and the building principals, Ms. Cosme, Ms. Costa, Dr. Barnes, and Ms. Shanahan, clerical staff and building grounds, Joe Mandalori, from the Booster Club, Joe Larson, Bob Tagos, Al Kirshner, Denise Burns, Kim Tessa, all the PGGs, the CPC, and so many more people are involved in making this event go off. It is truly amazing. I am taken aback by the outpouring of support and dedication to support this event and so many other communities events that occur in Cold Spring Harbor. It is absolutely amazing. I've always been proud to be a member of the Cold Spring Harbor family. I'm especially proud to work here for the work we're doing surrounding the Remembrance Bowl. Thank you. One last item. Later tonight, Mr. Dambusky and myself will provide an update on the rollout of the cell phone-free rules at the junior senior high school. Thank you for coming tonight. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Use it to be with family and friends, and please take care of yourself, and if you can, take care of someone in need. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the committee reports, but we have only had a couple of weeks since our last meeting, and we had our board retreat, so committees did not meet in the interim. So we will move to our first audience to visitors. Do we have visitors?
We have one.
Oh, hello.
Only if you want to say something, you don't have to.
It is now audience to visitors. The Cold Spring Harbor Board of Education and Administration welcome your attendance at board meetings. Audience to public affords residents an opportunity to address the Board of Education on both agenda and non-agenda items. Each resident is allowed to speak for 3 minutes. This is not the forum to discuss student or staff-specific issues. Please contact the district separately on these matters. Oh, come up to the microphone. Yeah, well, because it's a recording.
My name is Magda Manfuso. My son was one of the first to be in Goose Hill in 1993. So now he bought a house in the district. And as a grandmother, I'm back in the district. I was very active throughout the years.
Oh, welcome back. We're so glad to have
Thanks.
you.
Thanks. So I hope to take some part of it and help the district.
Oh, great. Well,
Thank
we'll
you.
take you at your word on that.
Thank
Thank you.
very much.
Welcome back. That's so nice.
Yes.
Oh,
It was so nice. Good boy.
all right. So we are now going to move to the approval of minutes. We will vote separately on each minute approval. June 27th. Oh, we're going to table that because we are missing some folks who were here for that. Do we need to vote on tabling it?
You don't need to vote to table.
Okay.
You just keep going.
If you don't call the question,
If you
there's
don't
nothing to
mention,
vote on.
Awesome. Okay. July 9th, minutes. Absent Bill Woolman. May I have a first? Lisa? Second? Bruce? All in favor? July 17th. Bill abstain. Oh, sorry, 2. So the second one from July 9th.
for the regular meeting.
Okay. May I have a first? Thank you, Mark. Second? Bruce, thank you. Questions? All in favor? Thank you. All right. July 17th, Bill was not there. May I have a first? Lisa. Second? Mark. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. We're going to table the next one. 3 of us were not there.
August 6th.
August 6th. Absent Bill Woolman. May I have a first? Mark, second? Bruce, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, we now move to personnel recommendations of the superintendent. We will take all of the resignations and appointments on pages 2 to 21 as a slate. May I have a first? Lisa. May I have a second? Bruce? Questions? Is there anyone here we want to recognize or anything? No? Okay. All in favor? Thank you. And tonight we have 2 personnel walk-on appointments. Do we have a motion to proceed with the walk-on appointment? May I have a first? Thank you, Mark. Second? Bill? Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. All right, so we will take the 2 walk-ons then as a slate. Do I need to read them, or? I have both of them. Yeah, so John DeLuca will be appointed permanent building substitute high school effective August 28th, 2024 at the rate of $160 per diem until his role as short-term leave replacement is complete, pending fingerprint clearance, pending receipt of verification of official transcripts. Okay, and then the second appointment is Kim Dusel, senior office assistant. This is at Westside School. Salary is, it says TBD prorated.
Based on start date.
Based on start date, okay, so around $48,000, okay. An effective date is also TBD. We're working out the start date. All right, may I have a first? Mark, may I have a second? Bill? All in favor? Thank you. Congratulations to all of our new hires and welcome to the Cold Spring Harbor community. We now have a motion to conduct a public hearing on the district-wide safety plan. Members of the public are invited to address the Board of Education. Later in the meeting, the board will approve the district-wide safety plan. No motion is required to open or close the hearing.
You just ask if the community has any questions, and then if not, you can
Does
move
the
on.
community have any questions about the district-wide safety plan? Thank you. We now move on to business recommendations. We will take all budget transfers, claims audit report, and additional business from business matters on pages 22 to 24 as a slate. May I have a first? Lisa, may I have a second? Mark, questions? Yes, Mark.
1.7, the transfer of roughly $2 million. Just what is that regarding?
Sure. This is, as we finish our audit, it actually is 2 items this year. It's reclassification of some costs into the correct budget codes, but it's also this year, we had to go to GASB, which is the Governmental Accounting Standards Boards, and determine how to record the CVA settlement payments. And that resulted in a large interest transaction we had to record in our books. It had no impact to our revenue and expenditures. It was net neutral, but we had to gross up our books and records to recognize what happened with that CVA settlement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have a question, just a clarifying question on number 6, which is the budget transfer of $30,000 for Yonder pouches. Is there more information on that?
So we have submitted a foundation grant application. The foundation received it today. They're reviewing it, moving forward. They have a meeting coming up within about a week's time where Mr. Dembusky and I will attend to answering their questions for it. It seems very positive at this point in time that they will at least fund some, if not all of it. I can't guarantee you definitively, but it appears like they will definitely help out in the process. Did you?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
wondering, since we don't know what will be funded and what won't be funded, if we approve the transfer now or if we wait wait to see what they're funding first before we approve a transfer. I'm not personally comfortable saying that we're going to spend $30,000 of school resources on something that I've said several times I think could be handled by taking every kid's phone and sticking it in a $5 Tupperware. So I'm not comfortable with that money coming out of instruction. I know everyone else pretty much is, but I have to ask the question.
So for the act of the transfer, this is just recognizing where it would come from to move forward with the purchase now. If at a future date that the foundation donates whatever amount, we either can rescind this transfer or accept that donation and replenish it into the code where we transferred the money out of. We can take care of that when and if the foundation does this. This just recognizes to move forward with the purchase where these funds would come from in the budget.
And they came from Flex Furniture?
Yes, they
correct?
came from the high school's furniture allocations when they built the budget for 24, 25.
So if,
Can you move closer, Lisa?
sorry,
please?
so if that money isn't used for yonder pouches, will Flex Furniture be purchased this year?
I believe that's the intent. I think Mr. Dembusky has spoken about what some of the classroom needs are, what some of the teachers' desires are as they move forward with furniture, and that has evolved and changed as as teachers have moved. We have the new addition in the high school. Like, their needs and things have changed. So he identified this as a source for now where he could move forward with the yonder pouches and make a decision on furniture separate and distinct.
And that has
of this.
always been the money for the flex furniture is somewhat flexible.
Yeah, it's
Kind of
flexible for flex
ironically, right.
furniture.
Right, it's always been an estimate. You don't know exactly what room needs, classroom sizes and the like, so there's always been some wiggle room there.
Oh, okay.
You know, I do understand, would I prefer not to have to spend money to do this, but I also do believe what we're doing here for our students is so important to have them be able to recapture their ability to concentrate in the school and have less distractions. Also, not to have them have the phone during the passing of periods, which has always been the challenge here. Of course, I'd rather not have to spend it, but I think this is something we need to do to move forward. I think it's one of the most significant things we're going to do for our students moving forward academically, socially, and mentally.
I agree that it's important for them not to have phones. I just know that you can take the phones and stick it in a Tupperware at the beginning of the day and take it away from them for a lot less than $30,000. I'm just feeling, if I could finish, when this was going to be something that was presented to us as probably funded from an outside source, it was more palatable to me than it was to find out in a presentation that it was going to be coming out of a budget line item that we weren't aware of. So I do feel like it's important to have that discussion in public since we do have a financial responsibility to the community.
As part of the policy committee, obviously the policy committee of the board is only interested in the board level policy, which we have a second read of tonight, but that's not really implementing the nuts and bolts of how to
Right.
achieve the policy, and that's why we've relied on Mr. Monastero and
Oh,
Mr.
I'm not,
Dembusky.
it's the financial
No, I understand.
aspect that's
So-
concerning to me, just that it had been presented as this was going to be a donation from an outside organization, which made it a little easier to understand. So just asking before we put the cart before the horse, do we approve a transfer now, or do we wait and see what funding becomes available to us and
Yeah.
make a more informed decision? But
So-
I understand I may be a voice of one, but it was important to me to have that conversation.
Yeah, since Mr. Dembusky's here, he can always correct me if I'm wrong, but we did have this conversation about the funding, and I think he was comfortable that 30,000 would not implement the learning environment in any way if it came out of the flex furniture. And yes, we did agree, we were hopeful we would get generous support from the community on this. It is, I want to draw a parallel, it is a safety issue as well, mental safety and health, and so I don't see it, I see this as very affordable compared to like the traffic lights, so I don't think this is a big deal at all to move forward with, personally.
Okay, all right, so let's move forward then. We need all in favor for taking everything as a slate, as it is.
I just had some.
Yep.
Couple quick. So On the change orders, it says attached memo.
It's the next section.
We're not there yet?
Oh, yeah, we got that.
Excuse me.
You're jumping ahead. All right,
You
so
know,
this
that's okay.
budget, we're
Out of
still on
order.
budget transfers here.
Okay.
I slowed us down with my questions. All right, all in
You
favor?
have to do first?
We already did a first and a second. This
Lisa?
was the questions
Lisa and Mark, and Lisa
Okay.
was first. Mark was
portion.
second. Now you do all
So,
in favor.
yes, all in favor. Everyone's good. I'm good if everyone else is good. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right. I lost my place here.
2?
Do we do two? I think
We just did that,
I
didn't we?
think we did all those.
I think we did all those, yes.
Alex?
To additional
Yeah.
business matters?
I think your motion was for a slate through
It was.
20, well, okay, so then
Oh, we're now
the
moving.
change order that,
Oh, Mark had a question
Mark
about the,
wanted
oh,
I'm
should
sorry,
be
Mark, I was
discussed.
incorrect.
okay.
You could have asked.
So should we go back and let Mark ask his
Yeah,
question?
Let's go back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you want to wait
I
on the
thought
all in favor?
it
You
was
want to wait on the all in
broader.
favor?
Yes, yeah.
It was my,
All right.
Yes,
my
yeah, that
mistake.
was just misinformation.
you.
That's
My
fine.
mistake.
Yes.
So it says see a memo, I guess, is that in the, it's not attached to this, but it's in other
It's on-
documents?
It's on the agenda that's
And
posted, and the ones you received
The
and on
one,
the website, yes.
that's on that one, okay. So, because I don't have that in front of me, are any of these change orders over $20,000? To your recollection?
There might be one, yes, there might be, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I can look it up while you're just sitting here.
I'm just, what was there a large change order, and if so, what was the
Some of
change?
it was for identified boiler repairs that needed to happen in some of the
Okay.
buildings.
We need boilers, so
We
that's
need-
okay.
we will-
And the Huntington coach, I thought that was a multiple-year contract. It said it's a one-year contract?
Yeah, so we went out for a 5-year RFP. You are approving the contract, but it is a 5-year contract that goes up to the State Education Department. So the way the state does it is, the contract is as long as your RFP mandated that you went out for. So it's a one contract representing 5 years of service. So you won't see this again for 5 years on the agenda.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
It's, you approve the RFP result in a prior agenda. And in that RFP, it said that the board was going to approve a 5-year contract with Huntington Coach.
It was my understanding it was multiple year, and then it says
You
here
are- you-
24, 25. That's why I was
It's going to go up
confused.
there with 5 years because that's what was approved in the original RFP.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Christine, just so the public understands, each one of these are numbered and saying it's been resolved, that the Board of Ed has authorized.
You're voting on each of these individual contracts. You're doing it as a slate, all here, but each of these are their individual contracts that
And it
you're.
becomes resolved when we vote aye.
When you do first,
just
second,
wanted
then
to
all
make
in
that
favor,
clear.
it's an aye,
Yeah.
yes.
Any other questions on the slate? No? All right, thank you. Do we need to do another all in favor?
Yes.
All in favor?
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
my fault.
Nope, that's good. Thank you. Okay. So we now move to special education reports. We will take the CSE and CPSE approvals and contracts on pages 24 and 25 as a slate. May I have a first? Bill, may I have a second? Bruce, any questions? All in favor? Thank you. This agenda includes, oh no, sorry, I moved on. We move on to other matters. We will take an overnight field trip request for our boys and girls cross-country team, a stipulation and an appeal decision on pages 25 and 26 as a slate. May I have a first? Lisa. May I have a second? Bill, any questions? All in favor? All right, we now move to a second reading and adoption of policy number 5695, students and personal electronic devices. We will vote to waive a full reading of the policy and adopt the policy. May I have a first? Bill, may I have a second? Lisa, any questions? Yes, Mark.
So, did we add to the, it's not a policy though, right? It's a regulation?
So this is a policy that includes a regulation, but the regulation actually isn't, right, Jack, decided on by the,
It doesn't have to be voted on.
voted on by the board. It's the policy is giving the building principals really the authority, thank you, Christina. Christina,
Thank
that's
you.
your name. Christine, to
Set the regulation.
set the regulation in their buildings regarding,
And Mark, what this
Electronic
allowed us
devices,
to
yeah.
do, instead of having to come back, if
Right.
there was a new
Yes,
electronic
yeah.
device, we wouldn't have to come
Yes,
back to have a
yeah.
read and the like. For instance, they have those new rings that track. If we don't want that to be included, we don't have to come back to
Right.
you to discuss it. It just gave us the flexibility.
right.
So I had no questions about the policy because it's kind of broad, but I do have questions about the regulation. Is
Okay.
that something we can ask, or the regulation structure?
Okay?
I don't think that's part of the policy vote,
Right.
though, is it?
It's not,
So,
but he certainly. I
and
think we
Mr.
should vote on
Dambuski
the
is going to
policy.
do another little shorter
Synopsis.
Oh, tonight?
presentation, so
tonight,
you can
yes.
Perfect.
ask
Yes,
him the
that's what he
question
said.
then.
I
Does
didn't know
that
we were
seem
getting
Yep,
that.
sorry.
So,
good?
thank you
Yeah,
again.
good. Okay.
I'm at-
So yeah, just, I mean,
Uninformed.
I think everyone in this room, but the policy committee makes a recommendation to the board on a policy, and the board votes on the policy. So my earlier question was really related to the budget, not anything related to the policy or the regulation, just the spending of money. So, and your question relates to his presentation.
Correct, thank you.
Okay, so that's why it's covered in 3 places. Okay.
Also, it's guidelines, it's not a regulation.
Oh, right,
it is
thank
a
you.
guideline,
We
thank
changed
you.
it to guidelines. Lisa,
guidelines.
thank you.
You got it.
All right.
And all in favor for the policy.
All in favor on the policy.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I agree. I think this is a very good and healthy thing for students. And now the agenda, this is my favorite one to read. The agenda includes financial reports on page 26. These reports are for informational purposes. No vote is necessary. If needed, Ms. Costa will answer any question from the Board of Education and public. Feel free to call her in her office.
Anytime.
Okay, we're going to continue to our second audience to visitors. Would you like to say anything else today? No. You're okay. Okay. We're just so happy you're here. Okay. We are now at the discussion section of our agenda. Are there any items for discussion? All right. We will now move to updates. The first update is the Yonder update. Mr. Dambuski.
Good evening, everyone. Before I talk a little bit more about the Yonder pouches, I did want to give one update. We had a unique opportunity come up at the high school about 2 weeks ago, and I want to give a really big thank you to our student government president, Ann Taucus. She was able to secure a group of students, Sasha Slavin, Petra Schneider, Alicia Barriola, Anna Baudo, and Julia Wang. We had members of the class of 1974 who were on property to see the building for the first time in 50 years, some of them.
That's nice.
And some had come back from as far away as California. So I had received an email from a member of the class of 74 saying, we're going to be in town, is it possible? Larry McAllister and the security team were great in providing me with a staff so we can make sure that our students who volunteered, and Ann was fantastic. I wrote to her, she says, no problem, I'll get a great group of kids, and I received an extremely wonderful thank you email, which I will share with the board that talked about how impressed they were with our students who gave up a Friday afternoon in August to be able to show them around the building. A lot of comments about how the building has changed so much, but they were truly appreciative of the fact to be able to come back and kind of see where we have come in the last 50 years, and for some of them being the first time back. So I thought that was worth sharing. As we prepare for September for the use of Yonder pouches to enhance our focus on reducing distractions in the educational environment, we have gone through a couple of onboarding processes and onboarding meetings with Yonder staff. We have a one-pager that will be shared with parents probably in the coming days, and we're just putting the final touches on what has turned out to be about a 4-page FAQ. We have been trying to think of every type of question that'll come up regarding the Yonder pouches and have been adding it to the FAQ. I envision the FAQ document being somewhat of a living document as more questions come up or as we roll out this plan, if we have to kind of pivot and adapt things to add it to the FAQ document. So that will be coming out as well. I just want to revisit the purposes that we decided to go this route as the policy committee moved towards a bell-to-bell restriction on electronic devices. Obviously, our first and foremost, we are looking to significantly reduce interruption distractions in the instructional environment, maximizing our time in individual classrooms. We're looking to improve engagement among our students. We're expecting them to be more engaged in their interactions, not only with their teachers and their academic studies, but also in their interactions with their peers. And overall, enhancing the well-being of all of our students to contribute positively to their mental health and their overall well-being. As with any new sort of initiative or procedures, there's a lot of training that has to be involved and a lot of education that has to be involved with it. So the first step is kind of a unified approach where we will actually have Yonder during Superintendent's Conference Day who will be meeting with our staff members at the high school. And the reason why is we're trying to obtain consistency across all classrooms and common areas in the building. Every staff member from teacher aides to administrative personnel will be equipped with the knowledge and tools to necessarily carry out this policy in as effective a manner as possible. I need my staff to be comfortable and confident that they can carry out this initiative. And you know, there will be ongoing support and communication. I anticipate questions coming up. I anticipate staff having questions. The point people that we have through Yonder have been fantastic in responding to our questions. They're probably getting a little tired of hearing from me, but they have been extremely responsive. Even our most recent call, the point person for Yonder was actually on vacation and just hopped on a Zoom call real quick with me to talk through some of the concerns. As we talk about educating the staff, there's also an educational component. I know SEPTO and Focus are working on bringing in outside speakers, and we want to make sure that we educate community and we educate parents and students as well, which will allow us to onboard this with our students properly, as opposed to coming in day one and being slammed with a Yonder pouch and making it feel punitive. There's an educational component that our students will receive prior to the official rollout of the Yonder plan. We don't want them to feel like this is a punitive measure against them and against an electronic device. You know, we talk a lot of times at the junior senior high school about one of the most important jobs we have as educators is preparing students for those human skills that they're going to need. And there's really 7 that kind of come to mind when we talk about the human skills, right? So there's eye contact, facial expression, their tone of voice, their posture, their gestures, their timing, and their intensity, all of which are right hemisphere functions of the brain, which are directly connected to the lower regions of the brain, which works with your body to produce emotions. So when we talk about kind of this restriction of social media and access to social media, what we're really talking about is a means to help improve those right hemisphere functions and to really have our students hone those before they leave us. You know, nothing would make me prouder than to be able to say, you know, 5, 6 years down the road that our students have a uniquely different presentation than other high school graduates in the way they carry themselves, in the way they speak to each other, in the way they speak to adults. And I think the Yonder pouch, while students might not see the long-term benefits of it at first, will be a great mechanism to get there. So as we talk about that community education component, a lot of the focus is going to be on academic focus and productivity, and what the removal of the distraction in the classroom will result in with respect to academic focus and productivity. Obviously goes hand in hand with social-emotional development for our students. We want them to be confident young men and women when they leave us. And of course, a happy byproduct is a potential reduction in behavioral issues. You know, there are a lot of studies that are in the last 2 years in schools have been implementing some of the Yonder initiatives where there are marked decreases in things like cyberbullying accusations, you know, inappropriate use of cell phone media and cell phone video within the school building. So really that's kind of the focus of how we're looking to roll it out. As I said, the one-pager will have a little bit of information regarding the specifics, and I didn't want to bore you with the specifics of, well, what happens if a student tries to subvert the policy or procedure, or a student tries to bypass. That's all outlined in the one-pager, and I'll of course share that with Mr. Montestero so he can share it with all of you prior to it going home to the families, but that will all be outlined. Again, the approach at the beginning is educational. If it becomes problematic and it becomes a repetitive thing, there is a code of conduct that we are bound to follow, right? And this is a policy that the board has set forth, and we are going to do everything in our power to carry out this policy to the truest extent we can.
Right, and on top of the education isn't only at the junior, senior high school, it'll be education at the younger grades. Not that we don't do this already, but are we looking at enhancing, see how things are changed with the students? As Mr. Dembusky mentioned, there are more and more of these studies coming out with the hard facts of the impact of social media on our students. We want to continue to educate them as why we're doing this. This is, again, as Mr. Dembusky said, not to be punitive, but to assist them, to give them the skills that they need to do to be successful in life and to train them. There's no doubt there are good uses of technology, but there are bad uses here, and that's part of the education process. And that has also been part of the application to the Ed Foundation to help fund some of those events. These are not just for students, but for staff and parents who are looking for these, for the help in what's going on with our students. Any questions for Mr. Dembusky?
Hi,
Mark?
good evening. So, I'm sorry, last meeting, I asked about the school being prepared to handle a potentially large inflow of parents trying to reach their kids and the like. I didn't think of it the other way around if kids are trying to reach their parents. So you noted there's a lot of phones around the building. Are they allowed to just use a phone at any time, or what are the rules for kids reaching their parents if they have to contact their parents?
So that goes hand in hand with another human skill, which is self-advocacy. So if a student needs to contact their parents, we would encourage them, and this will all be in that student training component. They can certainly ask. All of our classroom phones had the ability to dial out. So if it was something pressing, if it was something where the student wanted a private phone conversation, we could accommodate an office where they could have that conversation privately with their parents. But there's no staff member that would deny a student the right to call their parents.
And that would happen in between when class starts and they make a quick call, just like a change of plans or this,
I mean, I think it would be contextual, right? If it's something where the student needs a private room for a conversation, that would be something they would probably reach out to an assistant principal to say, could you come set the student up, or the school counselor, could you set the student up in a private location, have that phone call. If it was super quick, I don't see any reason why a teacher wouldn't say, yeah, go ahead, you need to make a quick phone call, go ahead.
Okay.
And Marcos, if necessary, they could still use their phone with permission from the administration, like they could unlock their pouch. We'll have the unlockers in the main offices and other parts of the building, and they could use it to make that contact.
Yeah, they'd have to go miss class potentially. I'm just trying to think if they want to change their quick logistical comment, they could, before class started, call real quick. That would be okay. And so the FAQ would have, I guess, how the pouches will work, the ability, what parents should do to contact their kids and the students, and how the students can contact. They'll explain that procedure, and then it will note that there will be consequences to violation of the requirement to adhere to the bell-to-bell. Afraid to call it a policy or whatever, but okay. So the locking stations at the end of the day, how does that work? Because there's going to be a lot of kids looking to get their phone back.
Yes, so the unlocking stations, Yonder uses a simple calculation based on the number of pouches, what they recommend. We are actually ordering more than what they recommended because we want this to be as seamless as possible. We already know there's certain locations, for example, seniors who go straight out to the senior parking lot. There's going to have to be a staff member position there for the students to be able to unlock their devices. So there's two different types of unlocking devices. There are wall-mountable units, and then there are handheld units that can be used. And the majority of what we ordered are the wall-mounted. You can unlock approximately like 45 pouches per minute. So it's not something that's expected to cause any sort of delay in terms of dismissal. Part of the reason why we ordered a few extra handheld units is because we know we have some students who are going to go straight from school down to the athletic area, and they're going to need to be able to unlock, so we want to be able to have an unlocking mechanism down by athletics. The vast majority of our students exit through really 3 sets of doors. They exit through the Performing Arts Center doors, the main entrance, and the senior parking lot doors. So that's really where the bulk of the units are going to be. School security, best practice is single point of entry, single point of exit. So kind of one of those byproducts of a pouch like this is we're going to actually manage the flow of people out of the building in a more controlled fashion.
And then the questions you've had with Yonder, you said there's been a lot. What are the bugs you're trying, like what do you see things you need to work out?
So my questions to them have been more about the actual integrity of the pouches, what percentage of it have they experienced in schools that have rolled it out where students have either vandalized or tried to damage or try to subvert the process. And they said roughly between 1 to 3% in most schools is what they have. I asked them, is there a reconditioning opportunity so that if a pouch is destroyed or attempted to be subverted in the first year, we can return it to Yonder to be refurbished. They walked us through what their entire refurbishment policy is. So a lot of our questions have been about the logistics of that, not as much, excuse me, as respect to individual procedure that we're going to deploy. One of the best aspects after they come in and do the staff training with our entire staff is in October, they're going to come back to our October faculty meeting a month into the school year, and that will be like a great opportunity to kind of troubleshoot any issues that have arisen and really work through with them as the people whose product this is, the best ways that we can maximize it. Our phone conversation with Yonder yesterday, with the representative who hopped on the Zoom call with me, she had a copy of our one-pager and our FAQ because they asked me to share all these things with them so they could see how we were planning on rolling it out. So a lot of our conversation yesterday was really getting her feedback. Am I missing anything from your perspective, or the things that I should be adding in here? Again, not driving down too much into the nuts and bolts of how we're going to use it, as much as using them as a resource since it is their product.
Last two questions. In the FAQ, are you going to put in the replacement cost if a child loses their pouch?
It's in the FAQ. So the question you asked earlier about the consequences,
Right.
that's in the one-pager and the FAQ, and both have the replacement cost,
What is it?
$30.
Okay, and then when will they be on site, ready to go?
Well, I asked that question of Yonder yesterday, and she told me right now our anticipated delivery date is September 1st. So I said to her, if there's any way we could get it Friday, August 30th, it would really give us a head start going into Labor Day weekend to be able, because there are things we have to do. We want to be able to put identifying tags on them to make sure that the students know that it's their pouch. There are simple things. For example, we're considering seniors. Each pouch has a loop on it where you can put it like an ID tag on it. Seniors, we're considering putting a different color on because seniors have lunch leave permissions. This way, if we have a substitute security guard in the building and a student shows up to have their pouch unlocked to go out to lunch leave, they'll be able to tell just by looking at the pouch whether or not it's a senior in front of them.
And the cost to personalize them, is that part of the 30,000 or?
Those are supplies that we have in-house already.
In-house, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
As you can tell, Yonder's been, at first we thought Mr. Dembowski might say they're a little draconian and all the things they were asking for us, but the more and more we work with them, they see they really know what they're talking about, provided great resources, some things we didn't think about, and planning and make a successful rollout of the program. They've been a very nice partner to work with.
Good. And I know I've been crabby about the Yonder pouch, but I did go to a concert the other night, and I had to put my phone in
Did
it.
they use them?
And I was crabby about it. But
What
it
venue?
was,
Out of
well,
curiosity.
it was Westbury Music Fair. I
Really?
saw John Mulaney.
Okay.
And
Kids.
I've got to tell you, it wasn't his best show. Too bad. But anyway, I really like him. But the Yonder pouch, the leaving was so fast. Going in took forever, but they'll already have their pouches, so
Correct.
it won't be that
Correct.
laborious sort of getting your pouch. And leaving was really quick. We thought like we're going to get stuck in this parking lot, but it was very quick. So
Yeah, Yonder's recommendation is roughly one unlocking mechanism for up to 150 pouches. I said, no, we're going to go a little lower
Yeah,
than that
okay.
because, we have students that need to get to sports and there's athletic events, and so they were great with kind of adjusting what our expectations were.
And then after the first couple of days, when they become experts to it, they not even have to think about it. It'll be like opening the lockers. They just do it automatically.
right. Well, it will be good for them to have them away all day. So
Yes.
So just to confirm, they'll
Wait.
be unlocking them as they leave the building. They won't be unlocking them ninth period.
So we had toyed with whether or not to utilize that time at the end of the day. We do have that 3 minutes built in where we have for the end of day announcements. We certainly, given the fact that we're anticipating an increased reliance upon using that time to actually make announcements, the expectation is as they exit the building. And actually, Yonder recommended if we have areas of the building that have overhangs, is actually putting some outside the building as well.
Okay, and then, and for sports, there'll be someone down like by the locker rooms? like
Sports,
stationed,
for a
or-
student going to sports, we'll have an unlocking station both on the way to the athletic locker rooms, we'll have one down by athletics, or the kids can come to the main office where we will have multiple units.
And we also,
Great.
they also have handheld ones that coaches could have, Mr. Bongino, and faculty in that area. It's relatively small, about yay big.
And for the kid who forgets to unlock their Yonder pouch on the way, I know they probably all are waiting for that like serotonin hit and will do it anyway, but for the kid who gets distracted and forgets, so athletics, somebody will be here in the evenings for
Yes.
So
when I have to drive back from Lloyd Lane and get
There-
my kid's Yonder pouch unlocked.
There,
Okay,
there
yeah.
will be, the security desk will have, and we'll have the security desk is staffed every single night,
Right, good.
basically until all events are over. So if a student goes all the way home and they forget that they unlocked their pouch, I'm just gonna say the parents might be okay with the fact that they forgot.
I know, I want one
Right.
for
But-
me.
But, if they would like it unlocked, the building is occupied until pretty late at night.
Sorry, so then for those freestanding, like wall-mounted ones down by athletics, will those be, I don't want to say guarded during the day, but for kids who
I
go
can
to
remove the
bath-
magnet.
Yeah, we could
During
remove.
the, oh.
You
so
mount, you
it
mount,
off
you
if we
mount the
wanted to.
base, but the actual unlocking mechanism is removable.
Okay, so once the bell
Very
rings
fun.
at the end of the day, any kid could use any device?
Correct.
Okay, great.
You could tell Yonder has really thought this out.
Yeah.
And how the
So have
system
you guys.
operates. Yes.
So
It's-
thank you.
It's been a lot of time.
Good.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you for
Thank you,
everyone
Dan.
participating.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I ask, Mr. D, if the kid has a smartwatch or a Chromebook, or, I'm not Chromebook, a MacBook, or what, is that gonna be afraid to use the wrong word here.
Well, the smartwatches are in the policy already.
Okay, so it's gonna be clear there's no workaround, just because your phone's in a bag, we don't expect you to use a
So that's one of the joys of working with teenagers, is they're always trying to find a workaround. The smart wearables are expected to be stored in the Yonder pouch as well. So those, if a student has a smartwatch, those should be stored in the Yonder pouch with the phone.
and some kids will use MacBooks
Some
instead?
students will try to use MacBooks, and I've been talking with Mr. Monastero about ways that we can manage that with respect to our network, in terms of whether or not we want to allow private devices onto our network as opposed to the Chromebooks that we issue for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, air conditioning?
Christine, want to do the air conditioning?
This is just a reminder, everyone remembers that on the May vote, for the budget vote, the public also approved the use of one of our reserves, not just for the traffic signal, but also for air conditioning in instructional learning spaces. Those drawings are being completed by our architect. They'll go up to SED, and that project will commence next summer. We'd just like the public to know, even though you just voted on it in May, those units are not in the classrooms for this September. Unfortunately, it's a long process. And we just want everyone who maybe doesn't realize that to know that that's really a next summer project. And we're moving along there.
That's not to say we haven't installed quite a few air conditioners where we can, where power is available across the district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we've already had a traffic
Traffic
signal
Yeah.
update, so now we come to adjourning the meeting. So may I have a first? Bruce, may I have a second? Bill, all in favor? Thank you very much. Look at that,
Thank you, everyone.
8:45. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.